Hello YouTube, what is up people? Prof Sales coming at you with a video. Today is Friday, December 9th, 2016. Hope you're doing well. I am. And we're going to get this show started. So we'll see how the sound is here in a moment just to make sure everybody can hear me okay. If you can hear me all right, just let me know in the chat. I'm sure it's okay, but I always like to check that because you never know. It is show time, and we've got a lot of things to talk about today, so hopefully everybody's doing well. I have my red solo cup sort of here. It's not really a red solo cup, I guess, right? But yeah, so I wanted to talk about a few different things today. Obviously, the show topic, we'll do an update on results. We will do an update on, how business is going, some things that we are going on here, and take questions as always. And sorry, I had some major dirt there on my Mac. That was weird. Anyway, already people are filling in the room, so good to see all you guys. And somebody says they see shirts saying, yeah, funny thing, one of those just sold about an hour after I listed it. Yeah, shirts are getting listed. Yeah, you can probably see the sort of vintage Tommy Hilfiger. I get my fingers straight. It's not quite vintage, I guess. It's like 2001, but it's pretty darn close. But haven't listed that one yet. But one of the Ralph Laurens I listed, I had a 4XL, which I did list and sold in about an hour. So, pretty good there. People are already chiming in on the show topic. We'll get to that. We'll get to that, I promise. And we'll get to why I wanted to talk about that. Karen will be joining me. She is running some errands, but she should be here in 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so. And hopefully, she will have some input on show topics as well. So a few things I want to talk about. Of course, we'll get to sales, but yesterday, and some of you guys may have noticed, I put out a video, I guess it was yesterday or 2 days ago, on choosing an accountant and questions to ask. And I want to get some feedback on a few things on that. But basically, Karen and I went and met with a prospective accountant yesterday, someone we're thinking about, using for our business and so on. And it went really, really well. We're going to follow up. He's actually putting together a package for us based on what we said our needs were. And we will, see if it's affordable, if it makes sense. But this issue of accounting is one that comes up a lot in reseller world. Is that the right term? But it doesn't really get a lot of coverage. I know everybody's afraid of saying anything because they don't want to say, oh, well, I'm not an accountant, so don't take this for what it's worth. I'm not an expert. You should always seek professional advice. And that is a good I guess a good way to phrase it, but there's still certain things you can say, I think, that don't really get you in trouble. But anyway, we covered a lot of topics with him. We met with him for about an hour and a half, which was pretty long. He's a young guy. He just started his private practice recently. He had been working for some larger firms for about 10 years. And he just came out on private practice, which I think is an awesome opportunity for us. Like, I like the idea of getting in on the ground floor with someone new. I know there's going to be a learning curve for them to some degree, but I also think it's someone that you can grow with, and they can grow with you. And I think that's pretty cool. He probably doesn't come to the table with all these preconceived notions that maybe somebody who had been working with small business owners a long time would have. So I think that's kind of cool. The other thing that I think is cool, and I want to get you guys feedback on it, so let me know in the chat, or you can leave a comment later. I don't know for sure that he'll do it, but I think there's a chance that he would be willing to come on and do a show based around accounting topics for entrepreneurs, resellers, and so on. We talked to him about the prospect. He's obviously in a new firm situation, so he's looking for business. And as you know, with accounting, your accountant can be anywhere. They don't have to be in the same city as you or state as you. It doesn't matter. So he would obviously get the benefit of you guys, and being exposed to him and maybe get some business from it. We would get some great accounting info from someone who is an accountant and can say, hey, this is what you should think about. So if you're interested in that, let me know either in the chat, but also let me know in the comments down below if you get to this part of the video. Is that somebody you'd like to see come on? And we'll get him as long as we can, and we can just ask him questions about anything and everything. Deb says that's a terrible idea. Very funny, Deb. But yeah, I just think, I know that in the green room, they did something with someone who has been an accountant and is also a reseller, which was really cool. I can't think of her name right now. But I thought it would be a cool thing to share with you guys. Like, I feel like it's an underappreciated subject, but it's one that's really important. Like, this particular person too, he also is, he kind of portrays himself as someone who can give small business advice around accounting subjects, taxes, things like that, cost controls. So also somewhat of an advisor. And that's kind of what I like about his approach too, is, this would be another set of eyes that he's looking at it through a different lens than I am, or that Karin is. And that's awesome. I mean, you can put a price on it, but you can't put a price on how valuable that is to you as a business owner, to have someone who has expertise and can look at your business and say, well, have you considered this? Or what about this potential pitfall or this strategy? So I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best to get him as an accountant and get him on the show and see if he'll do it. We told him he doesn't even have to come here. I mean, he lives in my hometown, but he doesn't have to come here. So if we can do that and it all works out, we'll look to do that pretty soon. I know too, guys, the beginning of the year is right around the corner, just 3 weeks away, pretty much. So you need to be thinking about year-end, your taxes, your books, and so on, and then setting up for next year. So I think it would be a great time to have someone come on who is an accountant, a CPA, and can give us some expert advice on all things accounting that have to do, especially with reselling, but just in general, there's a lot there. Just talking to him, he's a really sharp guy. He gets it. He's very easy to talk to. He seems like he wants to make a personal connection with his clients, which I found very appealing. We're not just a paycheck to him, which I thought was really cool. So we will try to do that shortly. It looks like there's some interest, at least in the chat room, and hopefully there will be other people who will chime in on that too. Ignore all accounting. If I ignore it, it isn't really nice. I like that. Deb and I had a conversation, and Deb is the reason, pinching pesos, Deb is the reason why I came up with this show topic today. So I got to give her credit, because I was watching her show earlier today, and she had a show topic that really wasn't this particular topic, but about, how much you make on eBay and so on. But it became a topic on her show for several minutes, and I chimed in, some other people chimed in, and it got me thinking about mindset and, income levels and things like that. So that's why I wanted to talk about today, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But anyway, 52 people watching. Thanks for that, guys. If you're liking the content, please smash the like button. Karin's not here to say it in her special way, but I'm sure she's here in spirit to say it, and lets me know I'm doing a good job. Or if you're watching later, you can hit it too. You guys are crazy in the chat. So what else? All right, so business. You notice behind me some shirts. Someone mentioned that earlier. We have started listing shirts. We found several over the last few days. And like I said, I think I listed 3 earlier today. One of them sold. It was a Ralph Lauren 4X long sleeve, Ralph Lauren polo, nothing fancy, just a big shirt, a big and tall man shirt. And yeah, it sold earlier, no big deal. I mean, I think all told would be about $25. That included the shipping charge. So, good sale. I'm only in these shirts usually for about $4, which is not bad. But yeah, we've started listing shirts. Karin has started taking some photos of those. I've got more back there to list, you can see. And, I'm hoping it'll just add a little extra juice to the fire. Someone asked if we're measuring them. Yeah, I actually am including measurements. I'm including 3 measurements, which I got the 3 measurements really from Ronnie, Hearts Pickers. And just basically the pits, pit to pit, the sleeve length, and then the length from the collar to the hem. So nothing crazy on the links there, on the measurements there. People really appreciate them, especially if they're like big and tall. And that was definitely big and tall with a 4XL. I've actually got another shirt that's a 5XL, and it's an NFL shirt. Branching out, I know, right? So yeah, because Casey last night called me the jean guy, and I was like, yeah, the jean guy, and I went, but wait, I'm so much more. And so I had to, I was thinking about that. I was like, am I just a jean guy? I'm not just a jean guy, but I guess I come off that way. But we definitely are going to start listing some other items. There's something else we're working on listing too, or sourcing, and I'm still kind of educating myself on that. And that's basically going to be sports coats and blazers, not so much suit coats, because suit coats usually you have to have the whole suit, which is a little harder to find. But in my area of the country, we have a pretty good selection of blazers and sport coats. And some of them sell for really good money. There's some brands, like I'm learning these brands like Brioni and Chitin. I think it's Chitin is how you say it. Some of those sell for really good. But then there's a lot of sort of meat and potatoes brands that can sell for, 60, 70, $80. And we can pick them up really cheap. Sometimes they'll even charge you $5 for them, depending on what they are. At most, usually 7 or 8. So we can get them for a pretty low price. So we decided we're gonna start researching those. I've started the research on those, and we'll start looking to pick up some of those. That'll become part of our sourcing trips. Oh, I hear Karin outside. It was so funny I could hear my voice outside. She's here.
We can have fun now.
Yeah, you could probably hear it. She said we can have fun now. I guess we weren't having fun before. But anyway, so I'll make room for her.
Hi.
Hey. And that was on air kiss, so that was bad. But we'll get censored on YouTube.
No, we didn't curse.
All right, so okay, so Karin's here. The state of Charlotte, the 51st state. I don't know what that means. Ann says, do more measurements in your title help besides width, like hips and percent of spandex and jeans? Nope, I don't think so, Ann. I think you can just put those in the item specifics. That's too much info. People aren't really searching for jeans by the percent spandex they have in them. I mean, they might look for that, but they're not really going to search for that and say, oh, I only want the 1% jeans or the 2% spandex jeans. I mean, not usually. So I think you can leave those out. All right, so just looking at some of the comments and so on. Yeah, so people are showing some nice sales and so on for shirts. But how was the car trip for them?
Oh my gosh. Something that was supposed to be, what, 2 hours long? But I love just like I love our almost new accountant, I love my auto repair guys. They are the best. And I was going to say I reciprocate, but I must explain what that means. I bring them things every now and then, and this morning it was pumpkin rolls, and they loved them.
They did look good. I got none of them.
He had to take...
I had to cook them.
You had to take them out of the oven because my son was not on time. What a novel idea, right? He wasn't on time to school, so I had to drive him to school and then come back, and it was just a big mess. But I got one car oil change there and back, and then the work car oil change there and back, and then I saw this, and I have a picture of it, but there was this big gouge. I sent you the picture.
Right.
This huge out of the tire. So But they got it done, and
Awesome.
I was out of there and home by whatever time it is now. So.
And that's why you hire people to do things that you don't want to do.
Yes, and you already talked about the almost new accountant and how we're going to make him come on. I mean, we're going to ask him to come on the show.
Yes, make him come on the show.
He's dreamy. I like him.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff.
Dreamy?
Yeah, he knows his stuff. He was really, come on, you admit he's a neat guy.
He's a good guy. So hopefully that'll all work out. I didn't even cover the show topic with you today because I probably didn't tell you. Maybe you heard on the way home.
It's a surprise. What is it?
Well, it's $10,000 a month, a lot of money on eBay. And Deb was talking about in her show today. So we'll spend a little time talking about that and get you guys feedback. And when Deb was talking about this earlier today, a lot of things were going through my mind, but one of the things that went through my mind is perception. And, Deb was talking about her skill set and what she can make in her area of the country, with her skill set. And then how $10,000 a month was so much higher than that it seemed like kind of a lofty goal that wasn't obtainable. But, here's the thing, guys. And this is where in the reseller community, I think we get tripped up sometimes. And I have to be careful not to get too caught up in it either. Because somebody said, or people have said, well, I don't like seeing all these big numbers because, it makes my numbers feel inconsequential. If I'm only doing $1,000 a month and someone else is doing $10,000 a month, I feel like I'm not doing that well. But this goes back to a topic, we've been talking a lot about this in recent months, and I call it the comparison game. When you compare yourself to other people, you're always going to find things that you like about the way they're doing things or their lives or their business that you're not doing. And you're always going to feel like there are areas where you don't quite measure up. Likewise, against certain other people, you're going to feel like you're so much better than them because they don't do this or they only do that. And I think it's a trap.
Yeah.
I think it's a trap. I think it's a trap in reselling in business, and I think it's a trap in life. We fall into this comparison game. And when we see a figure like $10,000 a month, which is kind of arbitrary, we compare ourselves and other people to that, and I ran into this a month or so ago when I put out the list of top YouTube resellers, which was based on just number of subscribers of channels that I knew that dealt with reselling. And some people got offended. Resellers got offended. So here's what I guess I would say about it. Why are you a reseller? Why are you doing this? What, not how or what you're doing, but why? Why did you become a reseller? Why did you decide to go in business for yourself? Whether you're part-time, full-time, whatever you want to put on it. Because if you can't understand the why, then the what and the how and the outcome are going to be always murky for you. You're never going to be quite happy with the answer. So, when we ask the question, is $10,000 a month on eBay a lot of money? It's kind of a fake question because it's all relative. And it's relative to lots of factors. What's your objective? What's your why? Are you looking to be a full-time reseller? Are you supporting yourself, a spouse, a child, children, a sick parent? What are you using this money for? Do you just want to be able to take a vacation to Yellowstone?
I like that plug, by the way.
Yeah, it's a good plug, wasn't it? I mean, what's your why? Because that leads you into what you're going to do and what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And then you can start looking to compare your results against your results. That's really the only results that matter. It doesn't matter what someone else is really making. $10,000 a month might be a lot, but maybe you're only making 5% margin on that. Maybe you're only making, $500 net. That would be a really low margin. but maybe that is your margin, and maybe you're happy with that. On the other hand, you might be making a 50% margin and making $5,000 a month, which is a $60,000 a year average. If you were doing that every month, that's, you know, a decent salary in most parts of the country. You know, you're going to, you know, you would do pretty well. So, you know, I just think it's not like a race. Like, I'm not trying to beat, you know, Yvonne or Deb or Casey or Nicole or Ronnie or any of these people. Like, I'm not in competition with them. I'm not in competition with them. I'm really in competition with myself. So if $10,000, you know, and here's the funny part, like if I do $10,000 a month in sales this month, what's next month look like? Right?
Mm-hmm.
If I only do 8,000 next month, was that a failure? Not necessarily. There could be all kinds of reasons for that. And maybe I didn't put the same level of effort into it, the same level of sourcing. The seasonality is different, obviously, in January and December. So it's kind of like we're asking the wrong question. It's more like you do X number of dollars in a given time frame, and is that a lot of money or a little bit of money or a good result or a bad result for you? Not compared to me or compared to, you know, anybody in the chat. You know, what's the, you know, what is it to you? So I think it's kind of a fake question that we're asking here. The question should be, are your results good for you? And Deb and I actually had a Facebook conversation about why do people become resellers? And that's why I'm asking you the why. Why are you doing it? What's your purpose? Because she compared it to a job. And I get that. A lot of people do that. And you can even resell and it can become a job. Like you can end up just spending all your time working in your business and not on your business. And that's kind of a whole other topic. But it's a good question to ask yourself, because if you're going to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Then you can start to decide if you're successful. You know, am I hitting my goals? My goals, not someone else's goals, not someone else's definition of success, but what I think is success. And maybe success for you is like, I want to resell this year and make enough money to go to Hawaii. And that's going to cost $6,000 for us to go. And then you do it and you made it. You are successful. No matter if you made 10,000 or 1,000 or 2,000 or 800, it doesn't matter. But if you're looking to make this a full-time endeavor and replace your income, then you need to think about, well, if I sell X number of dollars, how many am I going to get to keep? Because that's the issue we don't talk about a lot. I mean, we don't really know I don't know what your net is. You might net more on $5,000 than I net on $10,000. That can happen. Mm-hmm. But on paper, if you looked at our results, you would say, Prof's doing twice as well as you. Nope, not really. Right? So anyway, that was a long rant. Was that a rant? I don't think that was a rant.
Is it ever a rant with you?
It's kind of always a rant.
You know what I'm going to get you for Christmas? Since I'm really not going to get you anything for Christmas, I'm going to get you a soapbox.
I see what you did there.
A real one. A real soapbox. So then I can go get it for you when you need it.
Nice.
Ooh, I'm just silly today. Is that different than the other day? Not so much.
No.
But you're right. If you had told me, you know, back when you first started, and you just recently you sold one of the older pair of jeans, right? And it was back when he was taking the pictures, and everything has to start out some way before it evolves into something else. And it was one where, you know, back in the day when you took them, you know, up high with the carpet as the background, and it's completely different than we do things now.
That's what she's trying to say.
No, but I mean, you have to start somewhere, and you can't. I think maybe to speak about, you know, I totally agree, and I was trying to find a quote from church. There was something recently about we get in this compare game,
right,
and I couldn't find it, but if I do, I'll share it next time. But you're right. You can't compare yourself to other people. And when you first get started, it's just unrealistic to think that you're going to start out listing 100 things a day and making $1 bazillion a month. It just doesn't work that way. You have to grow into it and you have to learn.
Yeah.
And that's all part of the process. And that's why we all get together like this to share ideas and support each other. But I think that's, only compare yourself to yourself and cut yourself some slack. You have to start somewhere. And I was thinking about that when you were talking about how the pictures on the carpet.
And that's a great point. I mean, you have to start somewhere. And you're not usually going to start at the top, whatever the top is to you, because you don't know a lot of things. You don't have experience in it. You don't know your capacity for this. You
don't know what you don't know. I mean,
right.
And I'm not making a joke, but
right.
we say that all the time, and it sounds silly, but you don't. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, and the only way to get better and to learn more and to be in the know is to put yourself out there,
right?
And try different things. And you kind of talked about it earlier. That's what we're doing. You're not only the gene guy. We do so many other things here, but we too are looking to diversify. We too are looking to do things a little differently. Because your goal from the beginning, and I thought you were cuckoo the first time but when he first told me that he was going to make a living, that's you, that he was going to make a living and be a full-time reseller, I just kind of, whatever you say, dear.
Look at her now.
But I mean, you had to start somewhere, and that's
yeah, you got to start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to start.
I mean, that's the hardest part. Sometimes just getting started. Just get started. I feel passionate about these subjects, guys, because if your mindset is not right in this game, your hands and feet and your the body won't follow. I mean, the mind has got to be there. It's got to be on the right page for you. There's no right or wrong way to do this. There's no right or wrong answer to how much money should you make a month to be successful. No one can answer that, because success should be something that's very personal to you. The only thing I would only say to people is, if you have a specific goal for your reselling business, let's say that because Deb and I were talking about this, a lot of people do this because they don't want to work a traditional job, quote unquote. They don't want to work a 9 to 5. They want to be on their own. They want to make their own decisions. And I am 100% a supporter of that, because that's me, right? You know that. I'm not a company kind of guy. Like, it's just not me. And it never really has been, even though I've done it. If that's what you want to do, great. And if you're going to do that to support yourself or support your family, great. But find ways to do that. Don't just say it, go do it. And make sure that you are tracking your results. You know what you're making, you know what you're spending, you know what you're bringing home, you know what you'll make after taxes, and make sure that that's hitting the goals that you need to hit, the numbers you need to hit. And if it's not, you adjust, you pivot, you change course. It's not a failure. It just means that way didn't work. So that I always do say to people, because that's taking your own goal and making sure that you are doing what it takes to go after it, whatever that looks like. And there's a lot that goes into that, obviously, when you need to change course or you're not quite where you thought you would be. There's lots of things you can do. And sometimes you don't need to do anything. Sometimes you just need to stay the course.
I think a skill is being able to pivot. Some people haven't yet developed that. And I think the pivot is a skill in and of itself. Right.
And somebody, I think it was Yvonne, said, I'm pretty sure I can only handle about 500 listings without needing help. Capacity. Somebody once talked about doubling their results, in reselling. And that was one of their goals next year. And like the next year was they're going to double their results, which is a fine, that's a fine goal or outcome you want to have. But the question is, how are you going to do it? Not, I'm just going to work harder. Because you can't necessarily work twice as hard.
Yeah.
It depends on lots of factors. Or are you going to work twice as efficiently? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. And it's a cool thing to say, but businesses, when they set targets, they come up with a strategy. They don't just say, hey, we did $1 million this year. We're going to do 2 million next year. Great. But how? How? You come up with a plan, you implement it. You don't just hope it magically happens to you. So if your version of success is $1,000 a month, or $500 a month, or $10,000 a month, or not having to work for anybody else, being your own boss, you can do all those things with eBay. You can do it with Amazon. You can do it with a combination. But you won't be very happy if you're constantly comparing yourself to someone else, because you don't know their story either. You don't know what help they have. You don't know what advantages or disadvantages they have over you. You don't know where they may be further along in the process. They started at a different point. They had more cap. You don't know any of those things. You only know what people are telling you, which is never the whole truth for the most part. And even if they did tell you the truth, you might still look at them and say, well, they're doing better than me. So what?
So what?
Right? Who cares?
Let's just all hashtag so what?
So what? Hashtag so, I like that. So what? That could go for a lot of things, right? Let's see. I don't know. I'm sure we missed some comments and so on. Yeah, people are saying about different ways to hit those goals and so on. Yeah, I mean,
smarter.
Work smarter. That is exactly it. Because guys, you can only work so hard. I recently finished reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, which, believe it or not, I never read. It's a bit of an older book, and some of the investment strategies in it are a little tougher to do today. But the mindset information in that book is amazing, because he talks about in the book having this mindset of the only way I'm going to succeed is to get a job after a certain education and a certain profession and work harder. No. I mean, that's just going to be so difficult. Like, if that's your version of success, great, go after it and do it. When you get downsized, don't be surprised when you don't get that promotion you thought you were up for and you thought you deserved. Don't be surprised when your branch closes and you're out of a job. That is very likely to happen to you at some point, because you're not in control of your financial destiny. So I always tell people, whatever you want to do with this, take control of your financial destiny, and everything else you'll find a way to make it work. But until you do that, any goals you have for yourself financially are always going to be at the whims of someone else, whoever's signing that paycheck. You never know if they're going to keep signing it or not. They might just say, sorry, one day, we don't need you. And there's nothing you can do about it. That's just the way it is. I always think it's better to be the boss and be the person in charge. But anyway, I think I'm going to do a book review of that book. So anyway, I might start doing some book reviews. You guys up for some book reviews? I like to read. But anyway, if you are, let me know.
Reading with the prof.
I know, reading with the prof.
Prof's prose.
Prof's prose. We like alliterations here, don't we?
Yeah, I really like alliteration.
All right, so I guess I will.
Have you missed a bunch of questions?
I'm sure I have. Somebody asked.
I'm not paying attention. I can't see it from here. Hey, I'll ask you guys a question. So my glasses, I can't see this far in front of me, and I'm trying to get glasses that won't glare when we do these shows. Does anyone have any experience with that? And if so, do these wondrous glasses even exist?
Anti-glare glasses.
The computer screen glasses exist. I just don't know if they're going to cut down on the glare from.
Okay.
Like reflective glare.
Like a reflector.
Like a reflector. Yeah. So
Let's not get started on that.
if anybody knows anything about that, because you run into the same problem when you're filming. So
yep.
There you go.
Snapchat glasses, someone says.
Is that a real thing, or are they being funny?
I have no idea.
Oh.
Computer glasses with anti-glare glass, Susanna says.
Yeah, Susanna, I think I'm going to try those, but I just don't know if they're going to do the trick. I can't see it. You'll have to read it.
Not sure about the anti-glare, but the perceived smartness level goes through the roof. Look, she just got smarter.
I just got smarter. I can see all the comments now.
I know, right? That's pretty funny. Yeah, so maybe we'll start doing some book reviews. And, I like to read and I always like to try and improve myself and improve the mindset. So some book reviews might be a good idea. Share with you guys, and you can decide if you want to read them or not. What's up?
Hi.
Well, people are home from school.
It's like we're Cheers. Like Norm.
Norm. Oh, I know, right? There's no way he'd remember that show. That was awful.
Oh, he's not. Yeah, before he was even born.
That was a good show back in the day.
Oh, we did do a group hi. So hi. You okay? Okay.
All right. So, okay. Well, we'll look at some results here in a moment. Someone said wear some mirrored aviators. You could go Top Gun-ish.
I'm totally gonna do that.
Are you Goose or Maverick or Iceman or I don't remember Jester? I'm trying to remember what the call signs.
I'm the Mav.
The Mav, the Tom Cruise. You feel the need for speed?
I do.
All right, fair enough.
It doesn't make me a bad person.
Someone asked, could we buy 1,666 jeans a month if you source full time? That's the math I'm getting to 5,000 listings. Probably not daily. It would just be a matter of where would they come from.
Yeah, I mean we could, but we'd have to travel way far
out.
away.
Right. We would probably have to do that. We would definitely have to employ 2 people to list and photograph, I think, which is doable, but we kind of got to get the income right to make that viable, basically. But that's a lot of jeans, just to tell you. That would be more than twice what we bought in a month, I think. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I mean, we could get some more a month, but I don't think we could get that money around us. We'd have to travel up pretty far.
And what's the math? Is that to get to 5,000 in what period of time?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
All right. So let me show you guys some results from the weekend. Or not the weekend, the week. Excuse me. I'll get it right here in a minute. We'll go through that real quick. Share the infamous spreadsheet.
That
was a good intro. When did we have last have a show? Today's the 9th. Here we are.
Monday.
So Thursday, or was it Tuesday? Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday? I don't know. This was 4 days ago. We did a really great day. 19 sold. We did 489, which was awesome. I think that was Monday. I have no idea why it was so busy that day. None. Last few days have not been as busy, but notice something right here, guys. Not a lot of listings up. We've been experimenting with our listings and photographs. We changed our photo studio around, and that's still evolving a little bit, but we're kind of finalizing this week. Like today's the last day. We're going to keep tinkering with it, and then we're just moving on. 6 that day. We had 9 2 days ago on Wednesday for 204. We had 6 and then 2 so far today. So that gives us, wrong one. That gives us for November or December, so far 78 through 8 days. So that would put us around, that actually puts us around about the same number of jeans that we sold last month, which is interesting. Like, because we've done 78. We've done 78. Well, you could take 2 of those off because they were today. We've done 76 times 4.2 weeks is 319. So we'd actually on track to do a little bit more in jean sales we did last month. And if our net per jean stays up here, we will actually do more volume. So we might end up somewhere between 8,300 and 7,700 at this pace. We'll see if the pace keeps up. No way to know. After Christmas, I'm sure it's going to die, I would think. Net margin is great. 44% is really good. And this does not include any other sales that we have. It does not include Amazon. So there are other sales. Sell-through percentage overall is 25, which is pretty good. That's a little less than a percent a day, but actually it's pretty darn close. Let's see our graphs. I haven't actually looked at these in a few days, so let me make sure I get my totals right here. I probably need to select the data and make sure this is up to date. It's pretty good. Let's see. Hang on. I'm just changing a couple little things here. All right. So here you see our listing total. It's down a little bit lower. Sell-through is still staying over 1%, guys. I mean, here's that 1% line right here, and it's still staying above it. So I'm pretty happy about that. Sold is, I probably need to change this one too. Also still in a nice, steady, gradual line up, even though our total listings right now is down a little bit from what we were at. So I cannot complain about that, nor will I. And because you can see here, like between these two, the number sold has still been going up, while the amount listed has gotten flatter and flatter. So we definitely need to get on the ball with some listing. And gross per day has actually been rising too, which that makes sense because the amount we're selling is going up. Makes sense that our gross would still be up around $300 a day, which $300 a day is around a $9,000 a month, but we're not quite hitting that number. So, you know, our real average per day is a little bit lower than that, but that's the trend line. You can see the trend line here. So I don't know. What do you think of those numbers, Karen? I mean, I guess they're okay, right?
Yes.
We're comparing ourselves, guys, to last month. Last month, we sold 10 and a half pair per day. The month before that, 11.2. We're 2.5, a quarter of the way through, almost a quarter of the way, actually a little more than a quarter of the way through. It might be a little below that. We'll see. Our net per jean's higher this month so far because we sold a couple big ones earlier in the month, like higher priced. And that raised our net per jean up 80 cents a pair, which was nice. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. Like our numbers are our numbers. But this right here, guys, 37 listed, no bueno. That needs to increase a lot, given especially the huge numbers we put up last month. So comparing ourselves to ourselves, we would say, we haven't been listed enough. We also haven't been buying enough. This number right here is a little funky. Because the way I'm starting to get this number now is a little different, but it'll have to get updated. But we will definitely need to hit the stores and start buying more. Okay, hopefully that made sense.
Did you talk about what we're going to do with the defect file?
Oh, I didn't.
Can I say?
Do you want to say? Please.
So we've given a lot of time and discussion as to how we're going to handle. Our defect rate is pretty low. But it's a big pile at this point. We're at the end of the year, and we were going to try to sell some of them. But I am happy to report that with the okay of our new almost official accountant, we are going to donate the defects. Yay! No more time on subpar pants. See, I did it again. Alliteration. But we're going to just take a... And are we allowed to say what he said to us? Can I do that? About what it counts as?
Fair market.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can deduct, and his take, it was interesting because you have 3 choices with a defected item.
But you got to ask in your state, in your situation.
Yeah, yeah. But you can, if you simply can't sell something, you can throw it in the garbage. You can, or if something's broken, you can throw it in the garbage, you can try to sell it at a reduced rate, or you can donate it back. And it was I don't know, we didn't talk about this, but his initial response was, well, in the interest of being a good human, don't throw it in the garbage. Put it, if somebody can use it,
right.
Put it, try to put it to good use.
Right, because they're not broken.
I think I fell in love with him at that moment, but he told us that, of course, you're not going to throw it away. You can still take it as a loss, but you deduct for fair market value.
Whatever the fair market value of the jean is, what someone would pay for it.
Right.
Which in our case, what we bought it for at a thrift store is obviously what the fair market value would be. Someone would pay for it. You could even argue the fair market value would be higher. So we're kind of hedging. We're kind of keeping ourselves out of trouble there by taking the lower amount, just what we paid for it.
Right. We could take 0. We could zero it out.
Yeah.
And take a total loss. But they're the jeans that we're talking about are just below our standards,
right,
if you will.
Right.
So they can certainly be worn and used again. So that was really cool. So that was a big, another big one. But we're getting rid of the pile. And had I not been so long at the auto repair place, I would have been taking a trip. But pro tip for the day, if you decide that you are going to donate your items, don't donate them back to the same place you got them. Oh, you just made a me face. We have many agencies here that we can donate to. So we're going to actually donate to one that's my favorite that helps families in crisis often, and it's won't get into our hopefully goodwill chain again, where we'll be encountering them again and potentially purchasing them again.
We don't have to buy them again.
So
and it's possible.
Yeah.
And again, as always, guys, talk to your tax professional, your accountant, and so on. Make sure that works in your situation. But the gist of it is, if it's not completely damaged and destroyed, if it still has some fair market value, and that's, there's there could be some argument over what that is, you can donate it back and, take that. It helps. It's probably going to help my personal tax situation, the way it's going to work out doing that. Obviously it's still a loss. I mean, I spent the money and I'm not getting money back, but it will help me at tax time, basically, which is fine. That's all you're really looking for. It's like some sort of resolution. Someone asked how many pair we had that are defective. Probably about 100. So it's not inconsequential. And that's built up over long?
The last
few months.
6 months, maybe.
Yeah, several months.
And our rate, what's our percentage? Like, is it 2.5 or 3.5? I don't remember the percentage. Our
defect rate, and we keep track of this, guys, just so we know we're making good buys.
Because you keep track of everything.
It's 5.35%. So about 1 out of every 20 that we get, we screwed up on. and we've tried everything we can to make sure that we make the right buy when we buy it. But honestly, when you're in a store with crappy lighting, you're not always in a position where you can spend a whole lot of time looking at that item. You're going to buy sometimes you're just going to miss things. You're going to miss things. I don't care how good you are at this. And it happens to all of us.
Most common is little spots or stains that you just can't see with the fluorescent lights. Every now and then we'll get lazy and miss a belt loop or a crotch rod or a worn cuff. Also, most common is if it's been hemmed. If it's a lousy hem and it's far shorter than what it should be, that's kind of a big deal. If it's a 10 long and it's not long anymore, that's not going to do us much good. Although we will use a seam ripper and take the seam out on occasion if it's worth it. But
yeah, Hank says, didn't know that you guys were just finding out about not listing the subpar jeans. Part of the issue, Hank on him, was that we suspected we could do what we found out we could do, but we didn't know 100%. So,
and he gave us some options too. It's not just one or the other. We can go different directions.
And you're going to do whatever makes the most sense for your business and your particular items that you sell. They may be different, what you decide to do with them. How do you track and prove what you pay for the jeans? Receipts. Pretty simple. Also, he gave us another tip there too. I don't want to steal all his thunder, but if it makes sense for you and you're spending expenses on your business and you're buying inventory for your business, get 2 different accounts, 2 different debit cards. That way it's very easy to know what's an expense and what's inventory, so that your accountant will be able to very easily, they could download both sets of statements and know, all right, the ones on this card are all expenses and the ones on this card are all inventory costs.
And it takes some discipline to do that.
Yeah.
And it's something that we're challenged by because I travel, and when I'm out, one of the things I will do is I'll visit the local Goodwill to do a comparison and to try to source from another source. Most of the time I find that it's too expensive and I don't buy anything, but because we get pretty lucky here. But I just don't remember what I was going to say.
That's all right.
Okay.
Someone said, what program you use for inventory? Yeah, it's just a spreadsheet. I mean, it's not like any secret sauce there. I mean, it's really as simple as you usually start the year, the calendar year, and everything you've bought is inventory that you haven't sold yet, that you've bought. You start with a number. Let's say you have 10 units on hand and you pay $10 each for them. Your inventory is $100. And then throughout the course of the year, we're just keeping the math simple. Let's say you sell 5 of them. Those 5 at $10 each, that was your cost of goods sold. So 5 times 10 is 50. And then at the end of the year, you got $50 of inventory left. It's really that simple. I mean, you just got to do it with multiple items and so on, but you got to keep track of it, guys. I mean, if you don't, that inventory is actually an asset in your business. The IRS looks at it, to my understanding, as they don't look at it as cash, but it's pretty darn close because it was cash to that. So you converted it from cash to inventory. When you sell it, it becomes a cost of good. But that for your accounting purposes, your inventory. I know it's a pain in the butt. It is. But it's not that hard to do. It's just tedious. When you get to a certain level, that's why you get an accountant.
I remember what I was going to say. So I travel and I'll buy some things when I'm out. And the reason I stressed having discipline and why we now think it's a great idea to have these separate accounts is because you have spreadsheets and we joke a lot about prof math and numbers and it all looks very complicated, but we're working hard to make it easier.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're always tweaking it to make it easier.
Right.
And one of the things that these separate accounts, because at the end of the month, I'll come back and I'll have a receipt, just some random thing where I paid cash for it, and it kind of mucks up the system. And we're challenged to, well, how do we pay me, the individual, back, and how do we put it to the business?
Right.
And so these separate cards is a great idea, and the discipline. And you know, there's no way for me if I'm I mean, you're going to have times when you're in a store and you find something and you just have to have it, whatever. But the simpler you keep it for, you know, whether you have an accountant or not, you'll find that at the end of the month, if you're keeping track, and you should be, the easier it is on you if you keep it, if you're going by your receipts and keeping it simple that way.
I mean, the reality is whether you go the accountant route or not, and I'm not trying to push them on the other because it depends on your situation, you're going to do accounting. I mean, whether you want to or not. I mean, if you're running your business legitimately and, you know, you're filing tax returns, and whether you're a sole proprietor or LLC or corporation, whatever your structure is, you're going to have to do some accounting because that's what the law requires. So you might as well embrace that. Now, I would argue, unless you're a very simplistic business or you have expertise and knowledge in this area, you might want to outsource that to someone who does know, even if down the road you decide to no longer do that. But for the moment, you want to make sure that you have a good handle on what your accounting needs are and, you know, what's required by the law, because, you know, you don't want to get in trouble. It just doesn't make sense. Just that's bad for business. And all of a sudden you get hit with all these penalties and fines. It just doesn't make any sense. So somebody
said something about coding inventory to a specific.
Oh yeah, Zerk had asked about how do you link an exact pair of jeans to an exact receipt? You code the receipts as it's been stymied. That's a great question, Zerk. And I'll tell you what I've done and makes the most sense. And I know, I got to share the spreadsheet. I swear to God, I'm working on it.
He's almost done.
I did. I keep saying that though. I think we're just going to release it for 2017 and be done with it. It's probably at this point. Have to do is this. So you buy an item, all right, and you've got a receipt, or maybe you bought it in an estate sale, which you could get a receipt for, or maybe a yard sale, which you wouldn't, or a garage sale. You're not going to get a receipt there. But you note it in your inventory, and you can even note it before you list it. If you list it, great, but you can even put that in your inventory sheet right away and note this was the cost of this item. Okay, that's all you really have to do. So you buy, you buy this Accutec Scale at the garage sale, which go for about $25 on Amazon, new. But you buy it at a garage sale for $5, and you want to sell it for $25. Great. So you put in your spreadsheet, in your inventory sheet, and you say, hey, bought a Accutec Scale on this date, $5. And you've got a receipt showing that in that month's receipts. I don't think you need to get so complicated necessarily. You need to put the receipt number beside it and so on. You can do that, but that gets a little tedious. And I'm not sure it's really worth all that extra time. But all you really need to note is what you paid for each item. You can even average all the items that you paid over a certain time and say, I spent $1,000 on these 50 items, so that's $20 an item on average. You can even do that. You can, 20, yeah. Just make sure my math is right. That's a way you can do it too, but preferably you'd like to have what each item you actually paid for it, because it actually is better for you as a reseller. But that's all you really do. It's not that complicated. And then figuring out your inventory is just a simple math problem of your starting inventory minus the cost of goods of all the things you sold equals your ending inventory. That's all it is. You know, you start out with $1,000 of inventory, you sold 500 of it, you got $500 of inventory left. That's an asset in your business. Goes in the asset column on your accounting statement. So that's it.
Well, and most of the time, if it's jeans, most of our jeans cost the same.
Right. A lot of ours are the same price.
And the only time where really how much they cost is when it's a new with tags item, especially one that we've purchased like at Nordstrom or something like that.
Yeah, right. And that's what we run into, because I was doing the average for jeans for a while. And then I'd go buy a pair of jeans, say in Nordstrom, for like $30, which was much higher than my average cost. And I sell it for $80. Well, if I put in there that pair of jeans was only average cost me $5, it looks like I made a lot more profit on it than I did, AKA tax liability. I don't want that. I want to show minimum tax liability, right? So I started putting the actual cost in for each one. Not a big thing to do. Because if I go buy 20 pair of jeans at a Goodwill, I list them. They all get copy and paste. Very easy to do. Doesn't take that much time. Prof, can you check my prof math for that mystical 10K in revenue, 4K in profit, 400 solds needs 1,200 listings in stock? Yeah, that's like 33% sell through in a month. If daily refinement, if I'm seeing that right. That's a little aggressive maybe, but at this time of year, you might sell through at that percentage. I mean, I'm right around that percentage. So sure. Yeah, you could sell 400 on 1,200 listings. I don't see why not. That's, last month, looking back at our results, we sold 314 on 931. So that's more than a third. So yeah, that's doable. Well, just a little more than a third, right at a third. So yeah, that's doable. Just over % per day. Sure. Yeah, you could do that. And then whatever your profit is, I don't know. That's going to depend on what you paid for them and what your selling cost is on eBay. That depends. I should have became an accountant. I could be like the accountant, like Ben Affleck in that movie, right? And go around and shoot people or whatever it is he does.
Is that what being an accountant means to you?
Oh, well, that's what the movie says it's all about. Clearly, every accountant I've met is just like Ben Affleck in that movie and carries a gun.
Was our new future almost accountant looking like he was carrying yesterday?
No.
Is that what you envisioned when we were talking to him?
No, I did not.
5 hours? No, I'm just kidding.
I did
We didn't talk to him for 5 hours.
Just over an hour. How do they list? Good till cancel or 30-day? 30-day. By the way, guys, just another little tip here. I had a buyer, prospective buyer, ask me about a jean listing. They sent me a question. And they said, hey, and I had a pair of 7 jeans listed, not 7 Phantoms, 7 jeans. And they said, is this the jeans that you're listing? Because the pictures don't match what you've got in the title. And I looked, and it was pictures of Levi's, the photos. But the jean listing, but the title of the listing had 7 jeans, and then it had like a weird 32 by 32, which didn't make sense because they were women's jeans. So it's like it had part of the listing. It had part of the correct title, and it had none of the correct photos. I went and pulled the jean. It was a pair of 7 jeans. How in the world that happened, I don't know, but I swear there are glitches on eBay when you relist things sometimes that don't make any sense. That do not make. I don't see how I could have screwed up the title and the photos all in that same listing. That doesn't make any. I mean, one thing maybe, but both. That just not makes. I swear, there's just weird things that go on. So check your listings, guys. I took them down. I'll just relist them. I don't even know what the jeans they were. I mean, they were Levi's, but I don't know which Levi's they were. It's not like I'm gonna go looking for them. But anyway, but just always be cognizant of that. Go through and look at your listings occasionally. Look through your store if you have a store, or just look through your listings and make sure they match. I mean, I know it's tedious to go through all of them, but I'm telling you, there's some weird stuff that eBay does. And this was a much older pair that I'd had listed for a long time. So who knows? Like, they might have been good till cancels, and then they got delisted and they got relisted. And sometimes that causes glitches, and that could have been what it was. And she's been sitting there for all that time, and nobody realized it till this buyer asked me. So,
Let's talk about you going on there right now.
Yeah, accounting is very exciting. I do not have I took an accounting class, but I don't have a background in it.
I just play one on TV.
eBay mutated your listing. That is true. They did.
It's a conspiracy.
I know it's a conspiracy. You sell similar, not relist, right? Yeah, I mean, I'd use relist. But what happened was, Zerk, and I don't know if you were part of this channel then or you remember these videos, but I used to have jeans listed, primarily my listings listed as good till canceled. I went away from that and ended those and then relisted as 30 days. I swear when you do that, occasionally it glitches. I don't know why, but there's something about the eBay system because I've heard other people have similar experiences. Now it's possible we're making mistakes. Of course it's possible. But it's happened in several instances where the mistakes didn't make sense. Like I know how I list and I know my process. And for me to have done that was just like a series of events that just did not compute. How I could have done that on my own. So I don't know, but just be cautious of it. All right. Yeah, okay. So, all right. Well, you got anything else to add?
No.
That was a long pause.
I mean, well, we're gonna do a bin day. We're gonna do accountant day. We're gonna do.
Yeah, we'll do more with the accountant too. As we, I'll let you guys know about that if we can get him to come on.
We're gonna do girl day.
Maybe we can get him to come on whether we use him as an accountant or not. That'd be cool.
I think that would still be good.
I would be game for it. It's a win-win for both of us. Right?
Yep.
And I like those. But anyway, one other thing, guys, I want to tell you, I guess I forgot the 100 listings from, that was still not a month ago yet. The 100 listings in a day that we listed back on the 16th, this is what we're at. We've sold 40 and is that, yeah, it's sharing. Okay. We've sold 40 and for 1,008 total. That's a 40% sell through so far in 23 days. Pretty good. Pretty darn stinking good. That's higher than our normal sell through rate. Our normal sell through rate in 23 days would be around maybe 26%, maybe 28. So 40% is definitely a good notch higher. So we've sold 40% of the 100 that we listed back on November 16th. And, you know, we'll keep you guys up to date on that as we go, but I'm always trying to keep that updated. I know Henry always likes to see, and he said, cool. Yeah, he always asks me, he's like, man, what about the 100? And I'm like, oh, you're right. I gotta tell you. So anyway, there you go. All right, well, I think that's gonna do it for today, guys. So if you guys like the content and so on, or if you're watching later, what should they do, Karn, if they enjoyed this video?
Well, they should smash it.
Smash what?
Smash the like button.
She just likes saying that.
You like me to say it. I heard you say
I do like you saying that. Also, leave me a comment or a question down below afterwards. I'll try to answer it best I can. At least acknowledge it. And consider subscribing. So there will be a link in the video after this all processes in post.
Down there. I never know my orientation.
I'm working on some other interview guests and so on, guys, and some show ideas. So stay tuned for that. I heard back from one of the people today, but might take a little bit longer before we do that particular show. And I think yeah. Oh, Zerk says, oh, that's a good point. Maybe it's on the new listings. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, so we will be back soon. I'm trying to do a show this weekend, actually, because it's a good weekend for me to do one. Karn is going out of town Sunday.
For at least a week. He'll be fine.
This is bitter Karn face. Or sad Karn face.
I don't even know this face.
But I'll be sad, very sad. But I'll get through it somehow. I don't know what that meant. It just came out. So,
oh boy.
All right, but hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Run a sale. I'm running a sale. Run a sale this weekend. If you're not getting the sales you want, might give you a little pop. least, people will see they're getting a better deal, and hopefully the psychology will work and they'll buy your stuff.
Because we want you to sell more stuff.
Yes, and so do we. So that'll help you be successful towards whatever your goals are, hopefully. All right, so I think that's going to do it. All right, so Karin.
This is Gypsy Earl, Vince, Karin, and
Prof Sales
saying good sales to you.